Hello, welcome back to Real-Time Workflows. Been a couple of weeks, and I'm going to tell you why. So 2 weekends ago, I was at European Film Market, which is at the Berlinale Film Festival in Berlin. I was there to take meetings, talk about Trenchfoot and things like that. Went well, it always does. It's a great time in Berlin, I really like Berlin. Did speak to our sales agents for Trenchfoot, and we have nothing concrete to report, but potentially some good things down the line. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. Then I came back and I was ill, and then last weekend I was at a convention called For the Love of Wrestling. I don't know if anyone out there is a professional wrestling fan. I used to be, I'm kind of a lapsed fan, I guess. But my brother is a wrestling historian and author, and this is his new book. So I was up there to launch it with him at the For the Love of Wrestling convention. My brother and I had a great time, and potentially little bits of film things happening around this, but nothing concrete to report. So that's that, and now we're here, and it's a couple of weeks later. So I'm going to answer a few questions that have been sort of piling up as best I can, and then and tell you what's going to be coming up in the next few videos. A question on VCam. Hi, great tutorial. I'm having an issue with Take Recorder. It freezes at the start of countdown. Can't make it record anything. Look, without getting my hands on the project and having a look around, I'm not sure. But the best thing you can do to try something like this is try it in a different project, okay? Try it in a different project and a different build of the engine. You can kind of isolate whether it's the build of the engine or is it the project settings and things like that. You need to try and isolate individual parts of what could be going wrong. So for example, if you've got just a very simple one, if my webcam wasn't working, there are potentially two things it could be, right? It could be the webcam, or it could be the cable that connects the webcam to the computer. Could also potentially be the computer, right? So the trick is like isolate each individual section. So plug the webcam into a different computer. Does that work with a different cable? Does that work? If so, it's not the webcam, right? So I tend to approach troubleshooting in Unreal with the same technique. Try and isolate each section first and see what happens. If you've got a different device, it could be the VCam, potentially that might be the problem. So try a different device, try a different method of connecting, if you can connect with a cable. Try these things and see if you can isolate which bit of it's failing on, and definitely try a different build of the engine. Definitely try a build of the engine that's not the very latest, because it could be one of those things that's just kind of temporarily broken in the latest release. The next one, on the question on level visibility. So this is the from the video that I did on per shot level visibility. Literally that last bit of turning on and off levels for different shots in different environments is the one thing I was struggling to figure out the best workflow for a project I'm working on. In theory it makes sense, but I'm a visual learner and I'd love for you to make a tutorial based on that. Recently came across your channel and it's been an immense help, and I love all the videos so far, so keep it up. Thank you very much. I think I'll probably do a separate video on this. It's probably worth a video. So I just wanted to mention the question here so that I've seen it, and I don't think I'm doing anything. I don't think I left anything out of that video, but I do think that it's probably worth a video in and of its own. So I will get to that next in the next video or two. Okay. Question on sublevels. I'm in the process of making a cutscene where a camera has to attach to, say, a car, but that causes both the car and the camera to be on the same level, because when I move the camera to a separate level, it says I can't. So what's the best solution? Now, I've read and reread this question a couple of times, and I think you're talking about making a game, because you're talking about a cutscene, as opposed to a cinematic, as opposed to a pre-rendered linear animation sequence. And so I think what your question is saying is, do you take the game camera and then you want to attach it to the yeah, I got to be honest, I don't really understand the question. Do you want to send me it as ask it in a different way? If it's a game thing, it's probably outside of my expertise, because I don't make games in Unreal. I make cinematics and animation and visualization for films. Next one, hey, love your videos, they're extremely helpful. Would you happen to have any lessons for motion capture and picking up objects? Imagine there's an object on the floor and the character walks over and picks up the object, all automatically recorded using motion capture in Unreal. Okay, so I have done some of this. I probably wouldn't bother. Okay, so in order to do that, you're gonna need an object whose motion can be tracked and preferably part of your organic motion capture system. So I've done this with Vicon, and we've also done it with the pucks. Pucks. Vive trackers. The Vive tracker pucks. But you need to be recording everything at the same time, and so it kind of needs to be part of the same system. To be honest, unless your target is visualization or you have a very high fidelity system, so the Vicon system is really good at this, but even then, you still need to edit the motion and fix things up. So it's so complicated and it adds such a level of complication that for me, the easiest way to do it is to just animate it and fix, because you're probably gonna be fixing the mocap animation anyway, right? So I tend to just add it afterwards. But what I will do, I've added it to my list of, I will do motion capture, a video dealing with motion capture and animation when it comes to handling objects, because it's one of the things that I always enjoyed doing the most, and I quite like doing. So I'm going to do that as well. So watch out for that video coming. Perforce setup at 11:50. When I'm trying to add, I don't get the pop-up and my P4V crashes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that seems like a question for Perforce. I would send that as a request to Perforce. But again, like I said, does it work on a different project? Is it can you do it at all, even on a different with a different depot and a different workspace? Because again, like I've said about troubleshooting, you need to try and isolate the things that could be going wrong, and the more you can rule out things that are definitely not going wrong, the easier it will be to narrow it down to a specific thing that's happening. And again, without having it to look at and play with, I can't really troubleshoot it that well. But that's my advice, is to try and isolate certain things that could be going wrong, and test them out, ideally separately. Have you got another computer you can use? Can you try it a different way? See if you can isolate what could be going wrong. And you can ask Perforce. You know, they've probably got they probably might have seen that before. It could be any number of things. I wouldn't like to speculate. So I hope that helps. From a long time ago, I meant to respond to this and I never did. So, can you make a UE5 2D animation pipeline or even 3D that looks 2D? On my own, if that's what you mean, is like, can I make one and publish it on the marketplace? Not on my own. I wouldn't really know how to do that, and I don't really make packaged products in that sense. That can go on the marketplace, and a lot of my work is built on other people's work that I wouldn't really feel comfortable putting on the marketplace. You know, like the Kuwahara filter and the cell shading technique that I use for Present Brick Ridge were both things that I learned to do from YouTube videos and things like that. So it's not really fair to start putting that together and trying to resell it, really. That's it. That's a 3D. That's the 3D that looks 2D kind of pipeline. There are more things I could have done with Present Brick Ridge to make it look that way. And with more resources, I probably would have done. I do like the idea. There's a piece of animation software called Moho. I would take a look at this if you're interested in 2D animation. This is a really cool system that I'm quite interested in looking at, but it sits outside of Unreal Engine, right? So, but you can, as it says here, you can export the rigs and animation to game engines like Unreal. So I think this looks really interesting, and I'm quite interested in using it. So that's one thing I would suggest looking at for a 2D animation pipeline that can go into Unreal Engine. What is ORM? What is the green channel roughness? ORM stands for ambient occlusion. So O is occlusion, roughness, and metallic. So yes, the green channel is R. Yes. Question about metahumans, and finally on writing. This is really cool. I love the story of you just being a working class kid from Yorkshire. Thank you for making these. Have you considered putting a course for writing? I assume you mean putting a course together for writing. I have considered it, but the issue that I've got with writing is that I'm not yet established as an authority on it, even though I'm very good at it. I have some authority when it comes to making stuff in Unreal, because I make shots for big budget blockbusters for a living. I've made a film in Unreal that won awards. I have some authority. I have some sort of status there, but not so much for writing. I don't yet. I'm hoping to get some, because Trenchfoot is a very good script, frankly. So I would like to put a course together for writing, because I do have strong things to say about it. I've been taught by many people, and I've taken different elements of what they teach, and I do have things to say on it. But in order to say those things, you kind of do need to have had a level of success. And I think the minimum achievable level of success you should have to start talking about film screenwriting is a film made, a feature film made and out there in the world. I'm setting that as my minimum goal, and once I've done that, then I feel like I will have some things to say about writing and a platform and some authority with which to say them. But until then, I'm going to keep my kind of ideas to myself for a while. I think I need to make sure it works for me first before I start telling other people what to do. So yeah. Okay, so next couple of videos are going to be, I'll do one on the animation, animating objects, and I'm going to do one on sublevels and switching sublevels per shot for different locations, and not just for visibility tweaks. And that'll be that. So, and then I'm on the subject of my other Unreal project that I mentioned a few weeks ago. I am still moving forward with that slowly. More slowly than I expected, partly because of the things I've had to be doing over the last few weekends and being ill and things like that. So I am going to keep moving forward with that. I'm going to have an update in a couple of weeks on that. But I'm starting to feel quite confident in the idea of the project and what it can become. And it's potentially going to involve some other technologies as well. So I'm still processing everything, but I think it's going to be fun. And the thing about this one is, the crucial thing about this is that there are elements of Trenchfoot, because Trenchfoot has other people involved. There are executive producers. There are people saying, make sure you don't share this part of it. Like, we need to make sure that there's that the investors are going to be satisfied and all this kind of stuff. So I'm limited in what I can say about Trenchfoot to a degree. But with this one, I am going to just make it fully out in the open for everyone to see. And there'll be no secrets, and I'm just gonna show you the process of me making a film in Unreal Engine, and I'm gonna keep doing it even if Trenchfoot happens, because Trenchfoot is a completely different beast. Trenchfoot is going to be mostly in camera, and the work I do in Unreal is for planning purposes. This is going to be making a film in Unreal Engine from point A to finish, from start to finish. And then the idea is that at the end, then we will arrange a shoot to shoot certain elements to iterate the Unreal Engine stuff into the real world, but only about 40% of it ish. So that's gonna be really exciting. I just want to make sure that I've definitely got everything in the right place before I start crowing about a project that I'll never finish, because that happens, right? So anyway, that's enough from me for now. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. But don't forget to leave more questions, or tell me I'm an idiot, or whatever you want to do, really. This is an open forum, so let's go for it. I'll see you all down the road.